I'm 95 years old, and I've built over $100 billion in my lifetime. It might surprise you to learn that my most pivotal wealth-building years weren't in my 20s or 30s. No, they came much later, after I turned 50, even 60, and 70. That's because when it comes to building wealth, it doesn't truly matter when you begin. What matters is that you begin, and even more critically, that you do it correctly. I've seen people start investing at 20 and fail spectacularly. Conversely, I've watched people start at 50 and achieve millionaire status. The real difference isn't your age. It's your strategy and your discipline. It's about making the right financial moves starting right now, today, this very moment. So if you're 40 and broke, or anywhere close to that situation, don't give up hope. Don't believe it's too late, because what I'm about to share can fundamentally transform the next 20, 30, or even 40 years of your life. These aren't abstract theories. This is what works, what has always worked, and what will work for you if you commit wholeheartedly. Let's begin with the first crucial concept. Time is both your enemy and your friend, especially when you're starting late. When you're 40 and broke, you no longer have 40 years until retirement. You realistically have about 25 years, maybe 30 if you work a bit longer. That shorter timeline is your enemy, because less time means less compounding potential. However, time transforms into your friend, because at 40, you're likely entering or already at your peak earning years. A typical 40-year-old generally commands a significantly higher income than someone just starting out. You possess valuable experience, refined skills, and established careers. This means you have the capacity to invest more, save more, and contribute more to your financial future than younger people can. You might have less time, but you possess far greater earning power, and you must use it strategically. Here's some simple math that could genuinely save your financial future. If you're 40 and commit to investing just $500 a month, consistently achieving a 10% annual return for 25 years, you'll accumulate approximately $650,000 by the time you reach 65. Perhaps not rich in the billionaire sense, but certainly not broke either. That sum represents a viable retirement, security, and options for your future. But it gets even more interesting. If you can manage to invest $1,000 a month, maintaining the same timeline and returns, you'll end up with a substantial $1.3 million. And if you're truly serious, if you adopt an aggressive approach and invest $1,500 a month, you could be looking at almost $2 million by age 65, starting from absolute zero at 40. This isn't some fanciful dream. It's the power of compound interest, simple mathematics, and a very achievable reality if you commit. I often hear people lament, "I simply can't invest $500 or $1,000 a month. I'm broke. My bills are tight. There's nothing left over." And my response is unequivocal. Then you are living incorrectly. Because if you cannot find money to invest, you will never build wealth, period. It makes no difference if you earn $50,000 or $500,000 a year. If you spend every single dollar you make, you will remain perpetually broke. So the first step isn't about scrambling to find more money to invest. It's about spending less money on everything else. Cut ruthlessly. Live as if you earn half of your actual income, and then faithfully invest the difference. The second crucial thing you need to understand is that debt will absolutely destroy your financial prospects, particularly at 40. If you're broke at 40, it's highly probable you're carrying significant debt, credit cards, car loans, perhaps even lingering student loans. And that debt is relentlessly charging you 15, 20, or even 25% interest every single year. You cannot, under any circumstances, build wealth while simultaneously paying those exorbitant rates. It's an impossible feat. I don't care how outstanding your investments might perform. If your debt costs you 20% and your investments only yield 10%, you are effectively losing 10% every year. You are moving backward. So here's what you must do before you invest a single dollar. Aggressively pay. I've never carried credit card debt in my entire life. Never. I pay cash for everything. If I can't afford something with cash, I simply don't buy it. And remember, I'm worth over $100 billion. If I don't need to borrow money at 20% interest, you certainly don't. Get out of debt. Stay out of debt. It is a non-negotiable imperative if you truly desire to build wealth. Third, invest in yourself first and foremost. At 40, you still have a solid 25 years of prime earning potential ahead of you, possibly even more. That's why your single biggest asset is not your house, not your car, nor any specific stock. It's your ability to earn, your skills, your knowledge. Even a modest 10 or 20% increase in income translates into life-changing money over those 25 years. Consider this. A person earning $50,000 who elevates their income to $60,000 adds an astounding $250,000 in total earnings over 25 years. And that's before accounting for investment returns. That's $250,000 simply from one raise, one promotion, or one newly acquired skill. Therefore, invest diligently in yourself. Take courses, acquire new skills, earn certifications, and don't hesitate to switch careers if it means greater earning potential. At 40, you are absolutely not too old to reinvent yourself. In fact, you're at the perfect age, old enough to possess wisdom and know what you're doing, yet young enough to have decades to profit handsomely from your efforts. I have always firmly believed that the best investment you can ever make is in your own abilities. Nobody can tax it away, nobody can steal it, and it pays dividends for the rest of your life. The fourth crucial point about starting at 40 is that you simply cannot afford expensive mistakes. A 20-year-old who loses money in a bad investment still has 40 years to recover. A 40-year-old who suffers a significant loss has only 25 years. That is a colossal difference. Therefore, you need to be more conservative, more careful, and far more strategic than a younger investor. This doesn't mean you shouldn't invest. It means you must invest smartly. No gambling, no speculative crypto investments, no chasing hot stock tips, no get-rich-quick schemes. None of it. Here's what you should do instead. Invest in low-cost index funds, specifically S&P 500 index funds. These funds grant you ownership of a small piece of America's 500 largest companies. They are inherently diversified, stable, and historically proven. The S&P 500 has consistently returned, on average, about 10% annually for decades. Not every single year, mind you. Some years it's down, some years it's up significantly. But over the long term, that 10% average, compounded over 25 years, transforms every dollar into $10, every $10,000 into $100,000, every $100,000 into $1 million. That's not speculation, that's historical fact. I have recommended index funds for many years. For the vast majority of people, they represent the best investment they will ever make. It's far superior to trying to pick individual stocks, better than paying exorbitant fees to active fund managers, and certainly better than chasing fleeting market trends. It's about consistent, boring, and reliable returns. That is what genuinely builds wealth at 40. Not fleeting excitement, but unwavering consistency. Fifth, build an emergency fund before you start investing heavily. I understand this might sound counterintuitive. You're already behind on retirement, and I'm advising you to keep cash instead of investing it immediately. But hear me out. If you're 40 and broke, you most likely have no savings to fall back on. So at the first market downturn, the first unexpected car repair, or the first major medical bill, you'll panic. You'll be forced to sell your hard-won investments at a loss to cover these emergencies. Or even worse, you'll revert back to high-interest credit card debt. Either scenario completely destroys your budding wealth-building plan. So, before you aggressively invest, build a robust emergency fund. Aim for 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses in readily accessible cash, ideally in a high-yield savings account. This money is safe, boring, and won't make you rich directly. Instead, it's money that prevents you from going broke. It's your essential insurance against bad luck, ill timing, or unforeseen circumstances. Once you have this financial cushion, you can invest aggressively without fear, knowing you're covered for life's inevitable emergencies. You won't be compelled to sell stocks when the market crashes. Instead, you can hold through downturns, which is precisely when real wealth is built by those who can afford to wait. The sixth thing about being 40 and broke is the absolute necessity to maximize every single tax advantage available to you. You are playing catch up, and you simply cannot afford to waste money on taxes that you don't have to pay. There's something financially insane about throwing away free money. I'm talking about your employer's 401k match. If they offer to match 50 cents on every dollar, up to 6% of your salary, and you're not contributing that full 6%, you're leaving money on the table. It's unequivocally free. Beyond that match, if you can at all, max out your contributions. In 2025, you can contribute up to $23,000 a year to a 401k. And if you're 50 or older, you can add another $7,500 in catch-up contributions, bringing the total to $30,500 per year, growing tax-deferred and without that annual tax drag. Believe me, this adds up enormously over 15 or 20 years. The same principle applies to an IRA. Max out your contributions of $7,000 per year or $8,000 if you're 50 plus. Every dollar you place into these tax-advantaged accounts grows either tax-free or tax-deferred. This is a massive advantage over time. Now let's talk about housing costs. I understand that at 40, you probably aspire to a nice house, a spacious yard, a good neighborhood. But here's the truth. Your house is either building your wealth or systematically destroying it. And for most 40-year-olds who are broke, it's the latter. They bought too much house. They are house poor. All their disposable income is consumed by mortgage payments, property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. There's simply nothing left to invest. I bought my current house in 1958 for just $31,500. I still live there today. I could have upgraded 1,000 times over. I could easily afford any house in the world. But why? My house is comfortable, it's paid off, and it costs almost nothing to maintain. And precisely because I kept my housing costs cheap, I had ample money left over to invest. That's what truly built my wealth. Not my house, but my investments. Your house should be a comfortable place to live, not a relentless wealth destroyer. If your housing costs consume more than 25% of your gross income, you are in serious financial trouble. Downsize. Move somewhere more affordable. Do whatever it takes to liberate that precious money for investing. Embrace a strict no car payments ever policy. I have never once bought a new car in my life. I drive used cars until they literally die. People often assume this is because I'm cheap. I'm not cheap, I'm smart. A brand new car instantly loses about 20% of its value the moment you drive it off the dealership lot. 20% gone in minutes. Then over 5 years, it typically loses 60% of its total value. You're paying $40,000 for something that will soon be worth $16,000. If you financed it, you paid even more due to interest. Meanwhile, a 5-year-old used car has already depreciated that significant 60%. You can buy it for that $16,000. It still has many years of reliable life left. It will transport you to work just as effectively as the new one, but it cost you a staggering $24,000 less up front. That $24,000, if invested at 10% for 20 years, transforms into an impressive $165,000 from just one smart car decision. So if you're 40 and broke and currently have a car payment, sell that car. Buy something more affordable with cash. Then invest every single dollar of that payment you're no longer making. This singular decision could by itself fully fund your retirement. And here's a crucial point about starting at 40. Social Security will not save you. I frequently hear people express their intention to rely solely on Social Security for retirement. That is nothing short of financial suicide. Social Security was specifically designed to supplement retirement income, not to be your sole retirement income. The average Social Security check is currently around $1,800 a month, which equates to approximately $21,600 a year. Try living comfortably on that. It spells poverty, perhaps not outright starvation, but certainly a life without travel, without comfort, and without financial security, just barely scraping by until you die. You need more. And the only way to secure more is to diligently save and invest for yourself. Social Security should ideally constitute only 15 or 20% of your total retirement income. The remaining substantial portion must come from your own investments, your 401k, your IRA, your taxable brokerage accounts. If you are banking on Social Security to carry you through retirement, you are effectively planning to be poor. Don't do that. Take control. Build your own retirement. Let Social Security be a welcome bonus, not your sole means of survival. Finally, plan to work longer than you originally intended. I know this is often an unpopular truth to hear. Everyone dreams of retiring early at 62 or 65, envisioning their golden years filled with travel, relaxation, and abundant lay. But if you're 40 and broke, that timeline might simply not be realistic, and that's perfectly acceptable. Working until 70 instead of 65 grants you 5 additional years of earning income, 5 more years of investing, 5 more years of powerful compound growth, and critically, 5 fewer years of withdrawals from your nest egg. The mathematical impact of these extra years is enormous. I'm 95 and still working, not because I have to, but because I choose to. Work, I've found, keeps you mentally sharp, engaged, and provides a sense of purpose. So don't be in such a desperate hurry to quit, especially if quitting means being broke. And if you're 40 and broke, your primary job isn't to accumulate massive wealth to leave to your children. Your job is to, and you are not a financial burden to them in your 80s. That, to me, is the true inheritance. Your independence, your security, the comfort of knowing you won't need to move in with them or constantly ask them for money. If you manage to build enough wealth to leave something behind, that's wonderful, but it should not be your primary goal. The ultimate goal is to fully fund your own retirement so you can live with dignity and self-sufficiency. I'm personally giving away 99% of my vast wealth to charity. My children are not receiving billions. They are receiving enough to pursue anything they desire, but not so much that they can choose to do absolutely nothing with their lives. That's my philosophy. Your kids don't need your money. They need you to competently take care of yourself. So focus intensely on that. Build your own nest egg. Fund your retirement. Die with enough left over to cover your funeral expenses. Anything beyond that is a welcome bonus. And the most important thing about being 40 and broke, start today. Not tomorrow, not next month, not after you pay off this one last thing or buy that one last item. Today, right now, this very moment. Because every single day you wait is a day of compounding interest that you lose forever. $1 invested today at 10% annual returns grows to $17 in 30 years. That same dollar invested just 1 year from now becomes $15.50. You've lost $1.50 simply by waiting 1 year. Multiply that across thousands of dollars over years of delay, and you squandered tens of thousands in potential wealth just from procrastination. I began investing seriously in my 30s and 40s. That's truly when things took off for me. Not because the investments themselves were suddenly different, but because the amounts I was able to invest were significantly larger, and the time horizon was still long enough. You have that exact same opportunity. 25 years from 40 to 65 is ample time to build substantial wealth, enough to retire comfortably, enough to live well, enough to die with dignity, but only if you start now. So here's precisely what you need to do today, this afternoon, this evening. First, calculate your net worth. Tally all your assets and subtract all your debts. Face that number unflinchingly, even if it's negative, especially if it's negative. You cannot fix a problem you refuse to acknowledge. Second, create a detailed budget. Understand exactly where every single dollar of your income goes. Then ruthlessly cut anything that does not actively build wealth or genuinely bring you joy. Third, pay off all high-interest debt as swiftly and aggressively as humanly possible. Fourth, build your emergency fund until you have at least 3 months of living expenses safely in cash. Fifth, begin investing. Even if it's just $100 a month to start, just start. Open a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, or increase your 401k contribution. Buy a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. Set up automatic contributions, then forget about it. Let it grow consistently every month. As your income grows, as your debt shrinks, and as your expenses drop, invest the difference. Every dollar you free up goes directly into investments, not into lifestyle upgrades, not into bigger houses, and not into nicer cars. Investments. This is the proven path to transition from being broke at 40 to becoming wealthy by 65. Will you become a billionaire? Probably not. But will you be comfortable? Absolutely. Will you be financially secure? Yes. Will you be able to retire with dignity? Yes. Will you stress about money every single day? No. That's what 25 years of disciplined investing buys you. Not necessarily extreme luxury, but freedom, security, options, and profound peace of mind. I am 95 years old. I have personally witnessed people start from absolute nothing and build colossal fortunes. I have also seen people inherit fortunes and lose everything they had. Wealth isn't ultimately about where you begin. It's about what you choose to do next. If you're 40 and broke, you have undoubtedly made mistakes. We all have. I've made huge mistakes, lost money, made bad investments, and wasted time. But mistakes only truly matter if you fail to learn from them, if you refuse to change your course. Today marks your line in the sand. Today is the day you make an unwavering decision that being broke at 40 does not have to mean being broke at 65. That starting late absolutely does not mean finishing poor. You are going to do whatever it takes, make whatever sacrifices are necessary, and change whatever habits need changing to build. The fundamental difference between financial freedom and a life of obligation comes down to one thing: freedom itself. And freedom, I believe, is worth any sacrifice. It will demand a significant amount of discipline, this journey to genuine wealth over the next 25 years. It won't be easy, of course. It will likely require living differently from your friends, perhaps driving older cars, residing in smaller houses, skipping expensive vacations, and saying no when others are saying yes. But in 25 years, while those same friends may still be broke, still working out of necessity, and still stressed about money, you will be free. You will be financially secure, able to retire or continue working by choice, not by obligation. That is what the next 25 years of unwavering discipline truly buys you. So stop making excuses. Stop telling yourself it's too late. Stop blaming your past and start diligently building your future right now, today. Because if you're 40 and broke and you don't change your ways, you will inevitably be 65 and broke. And that, my friend, is a preventable tragedy. You have time. You have earning power. You have opportunity. Use it, all of it, starting immediately.